In fact, around this time, 5 weeks from now, I will hope to be about an hour past reaching the end of the pier in Santa Monica. But there's a lot to tell you about today. I'm sure I'm going to miss some stuff, but I've got a bunch to share with you, and I hope I cover it all. So one of the things that was really disheartening on this journey has been kind of just watching the news when I can and how I can. And my God, I think I saw again yesterday in Maryland, and I want to say in Wisconsin, shooters that just went in, people that just are beyond the point of sane judgment in the moment. I don't know the details, so I can't really speak to it other than from what I understand at a Rite Aid warehouse, a distribution center, which is what I'm used to working in. A woman after what they call a town hall, which is you get the employees involved and kind of share with them their focus or goal for the next few months or quarters. Just went off and started shooting people. I believe she ended up shooting herself. And then I don't know what happened in Wisconsin, but I read about that. Just makes you think, I won't say what's wrong with people, but this is what our life has become. And I'm certainly hoping that by pointing the thumb, we can decompress that a little bit. And then I heard one of the dumbest things I've heard in a long time, of course, came out of the mouth of our president, who, while down in Carolina assessing the flood damage, some gentleman apparently had some yacht basically barrel into his home via the water. So our snarky president said something like, well, at least you got a nice boat out of the deal. I'm sure that's what he wanted to hear in that moment. But again, I'm sure he meant to be funny and give some levity to the situation, but sometimes it's not so appreciated. Anyway, there's some changes in the plans I want to share with you guys, and also tell you about a remarkable young lady I met last night and into today. So I stopped in to have a beer and get something to eat last night after doing my laundry in Amarillo, and I happened to run into Aubrey, and it's just weird how people get put in front of you on this journey, and how the strings are being pulled by the ultimate puppet master, because it's not me. But talked to Aubrey about the journey and the message, and she certainly loved it. And she said, hey, would you like to have breakfast tomorrow before you head out? And I relished that. I've been having too many days on the back half of this last few weeks where I'm missing getting to know the people. I'm getting up early and running and hitting. So that was really special. She invited 2 of her girlfriends, and I got to share with these 3 young people, breakfast, talk with them. But sometimes people, she reminds me of my daughter in this way. I don't know why I'm picking rocks here, I'm sorry. I'm over kind of in the desert. I don't know if you can see behind me here, but there's tumbleweeds and stuff. Anyway, Aubrey's going to be 22 only a few days after my birthday, and in talking to people and asking favorite movies and travel destinations or where they'd like to travel to, some people just they're older than their age, and there's a certain maturity and knowledge that sometimes you're just blessed to meet these people. And I can't tell you, the way I would define her is the way I define an old friend of mine, Wendell. I don't know well enough to say this, but I read people pretty well, pretty quickly. She seems to be the type of person that if you wanted a friend, she's the friend you want to have. If you want an employee, she's the employee you want to have. If you want a daughter, she's the daughter you want to have. If you want a girlfriend, she's just a genuine, real, sincere person that's incredibly introspective and deep. I love deep. I love things that make you think. And she was bouncing stuff off of me. Well, anyway, it was her suggestion, and I'm so grateful that she suggested this. So I was in Amarillo, and my next big town was to get to Tucumcari, New Mexico, where there's a campground there. Along the way, there was going to be 2 or 3 nights along the way, and the weather you could see it was raining all morning. It's cloudy. It's a little bit cold. But she said, Jim, you know what? She said, there really is nothing out that way. I mean, it is desolate. She goes, why don't I take you to Tucumcari, and you can move ahead with your journey and stay ahead, or, and this was her suggestion, which I think was brilliant, she was telling me about a spot north of here, off of 66, called the Turquoise Trail. And from the way she explained it, the town called Madrid, spelled like Madrid, Spain, but Madrid, and some other towns up that way towards Santa Fe, which is pretty far north of Albuquerque. But having that little bit of a head start will allow me to do that. So I made a decision as the journey goer here that I'm trying to find out stories to share with you guys. And I didn't know how desolate it was going to be until I got the ride out here, but it really was truly desolate, to the point that I know me, and I know that I really would have been really disheartened by the second day of that. There was one sightseeing opportunity, and I think one little rest area, and outside of that, for about 100 miles, not a whole lot. And you guys have seen the way I go up and down with interaction, and walking for 12, 14 hours to meet nobody and to sleep outside, in hindsight, was the right call. And now I'm going to get to go. There's still a caveat to that, because I've got a package being mailed to the campground, which is about 5 miles behind me. So I got it. That's Monday. So I'm hoping to talk with them and a few people that reached out to me from Albuquerque, Tim Smith and Stephanie, to see if maybe the campground, if they're cool, will let me spend the night there. Maybe they'll mail that package up ahead so I can get the head start. But if I can, I'll be able to go off of 66 up towards Santa Fe and experience the Turquoise Trail and some of the small towns and jewelry and share that with you guys, which my call was a lot more appealing than me walking, not saying a whole lot or even griping. So again, in an effort to be transparent with you guys, I can tell you that I cheated from this extent. I got a ride. Aubrey was kind enough to give me a ride from Amarillo to Tucumcari, New Mexico. Now, where the back part of that is that I'm not really gaining any advantage in terms of miles, because instead of going straight to Albuquerque, I'm going to head up to Santa Fe and then back down. And it might even be more miles than I'm losing. So I actually may end up working more miles. But selfishly, for me personally, it's an opportunity to see something I've never seen. And then selfishly, as the journeyman, as a storyteller, I'm going to have a story. I don't know if you can hear me with the wind, I apologize. I'm going to have an opportunity to share a story with you guys that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So, although I didn't walk this straight line, I think it's the best call. So I wanted to be as open as I can about that. But in that hour drive here with Aubrey, again, some things that she said for a young person, I'll tell you what, on this journey, you know, we all talk about the millennials and the young people of today and how we think everything is going to hell. Well, going back to Missouri Science, was it Science and Technology, S&T, going back to seeing the young kids there, how brilliant they are, and how what a positive vibe I got from them, meeting Aubrey and her friends. We're going to be okay in this country. We've got some really, really bright people. But Aubrey and I were talking about a bunch of things, deep stuff. And she shared something which, again, the insight she showed, look at this rock, it looks like an old clam. They don't usually back, I don't know if you can see that clearly. I might take this one with me and bring it home to my kids. This rock is too cool. There's my memory of Tucumcari right there, guys. Anyway, so we were talking about relationships and high rate of divorce and things like that. And here's this, you know, soon-to-be 22-year-old girl that says, you know, I think a lot of it is because, you know, people have lost God. That in the older generation, God was a big part of their life. And she was, I think she was sharing about her parents. She might have been sharing about somebody else, but I think it was about her parents, and saying how, you know, they both have said that, you know, she feels blessed that her parents raised her so well, but that God, as the backbone, had something to believe in. And there's truth in that. I'm not here to be a Bible beater or to choke you down with God talk. That's your right and privilege to have faith or not. That's on you. But there is truth in that. And when you look at the options, so from many people I've heard on the journey, a lot does come back to God. And Pastor Tidwell back in what part of Oklahoma was that? It just escaped me. I'm sorry, but you know, I shared the story before how he'd have people that were married for 30 years come in and just say, you know, well, I'm just not happy. Well, what makes you happy? And how do you, if you're looking for someone else to make you happy, then you might not ever find it. But think about that for a minute. I've always said, back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, there was a lot of temptation that wasn't there that's there now. Usually, for the most part, it was predominantly one working spouse. So, the wife was typically home. You might have had 20 or 30% of marriages with two working spouses. Nowadays, it's 80 or 90%. So there was less temptation there. Social media, technology, TV didn't glamorize so much stuff. But also back then, God seemed to have been taught in the majority of homes. So I've never looked at it from that angle, but discussing with Aubrey made me look at it from that angle and think there's some truth in that. Nowadays, you got two working parents, so you've got extra pressure and tensions, and then you've got so much more temptation out there. As I said, back in the day, people would take their vows serious and fight through things and overcome challenges. Now somebody is always looking for somebody else to make them happy, and it's really not hard if you're at work and you're feeling unloved and like you've gotten into a rut at home, and you talk to a coworker and they say, yeah, I'm kind of in that same rut. What do you mean, your spouse doesn't do that? Mine either. And all of a sudden you got people coming together, having thoughts and actions outside of the relationship. And of course, technology, you could just swipe these days and go on a dating app and you'd have 150 people telling you whatever you want to hear inside of 10 minutes. And then you wonder why our society is such a high divorce rate and things like that. But to hear some of this insight from this young lady was just, really remarkable for me. And she seemed to be so well above her years in terms of age. And my daughter's like that a little bit. Kira is very bright and intuitive, and she reminded me so much of her that it was almost like I saw an older version of Kira. At least that's how I saw it, and I really enjoyed that. Another thing that Aubrey touched upon, and she sees it, I see it, and I'm guilty of this myself. I'm going to point the thumb at myself. It took me a long time for me to learn how to love myself. I spent the better part of my life so far, in fact more than half, where I seem to get every bit of pleasure and define who I was by making someone else happy, by doing for them, and in some way being a martyr, because I would suffer. I'm not saying I suffered, but I would put them first and do for them, and somehow that made me happy. And I learned later on in life, if there was a little epiphany, it's not selfish to think of yourself and take care of yourself. And Aubrey mentioned that again today, where she said, you have to be able to love yourself. She was telling me a story, I hope it's not sharing too much, but she touched me in such a way where she has a gentleman friend that she at least seems to be, has enjoyed his company, but he had a career opportunity in Oregon. Aubrey would like to relocate to Denver or Austin, and she didn't want to hold this guy back, because she said, no, stay here with me. He may have made a decision he would have resented or regretted, and a lot of people, young people, would have said, no, I don't want you to go, I don't want to be alone. But she kind of had that old adage where if you set the bird free, and if it comes back, it's meant to be. And it takes a lot of maturity for someone to do that. And then also a lot of maturity to seeing yourself that, hey, you know what? I want something for me. I want to be in Denver or Austin. That's where I want to find my happiness. And if it could be with him there, great. But I'm not going to sacrifice what I want to bend myself, or what my wishes are to accommodate, somebody else. And it wasn't selfish at all. And again, to have that kind of insight, if I had the insight she had at her age, my life would be completely different. I'm not regretting anything, I'm just saying it would be different. And so guys, I got to wrap up here soon. I was blessed to meet Aubrey. She was so gracious with me. I'm in Tucumcari, New Mexico right now. I'm trying to work out some plans, but I have about I already looked at it, another 2 or 3 days of desolation ahead of me. So doing 5 straight days would have driven me batty. So I'm going to have some desolation up ahead. It's not like all of a sudden I'm in Metropolis. But I'm going to take you on a tour of the Turquoise Trail. The other thing that was really fascinating, when there was a part, I got to wrap up in 2 seconds, where the whole topography changed from flatland to desert, just like that. Love you guys. Take care. Have a great day.